All right, let's get to it. Let's get to our year in review. We're going to review all of the games that we have reviewed over the course of the year and see where we're at now, looking back on it. There are 48 games all total. This is because we did an episode on LARPs in which there were no games reviewed. Actually, there's more than 48, but there's 48 individual segments that we reviewed games on. Let's just get right into it. Number one, Wingspan. Where have you changed your mind on Wingspan at all? We gave it a glowing review.
I still think it's a fantastic game and one that I think belongs in basically everybody's collection. I haven't played the expansion yet. I have it mixed in with the rest. I brought it home, hoping that Rachel and I will get to play it. I think she would really enjoy it. So yeah, I'm excited to keep playing it. It's a game that I look forward to continue playing, and I'm also excited to see how it does on mobile platforms and Switch.
Absolutely. I stand by it. I have probably sold more copies of Wingspan than possibly any other game this year in terms of friends and family. I have turned more people that are on the casual gaming side, on the couples gaming side, onto Wingspan, and a whole bunch of them own it now and play it a lot. So it's really good. Haven't played the expansion either. Would love to. Number two, inarguably the most important board game of the last few years. No question about it. No question about it. Number two was Coimbra. Coimbra, we gave a pretty glowing review of 2 by those pesky Italian designers. For me, I don't think I played it as many times after that first month that I thought I would. But I think that has more to do with the podcasting schedule than it does anything else. I still think it's a great game. Matter of fact, I've occasionally heard people say, well, I didn't really like Coimbra that much. And my reaction is almost instantly like, what? Really? Because it's almost a more medium weight game than most of the other games that the Italians do. And it plays quick, it plays clean, and it plays elegant. I still love it.
I enjoy it a lot. It's the one thing I think that has going for it is that its length. It is literally a 90-minute game, even I think with 4 players. Whereas I would always rather play what I think are 2 better dice placement worker Euros, which are Trois and Lorenzo. So I would always rather play Trois or Lorenzo. But if I have 90 minutes and I want to do a dice worker placement game, Coimbra is definitely my choice.
There you go. Number 3, Great Western Trail, Rails to the North. What do you think, Matt? Where are you at on that?
Yeah, it's funny. The more I think about it, the more I kind of miss old Great Western Trails. I think that it's funny. It changed the game so much for me that it almost feels like a different game. And I find the upper level game a little stressful, like the whole new board it added there. I feel like it became a bit of a race game more than I don't know. It changed it so much, and I haven't played it enough probably in order to really grok it as strongly as I grokked the old Great Western Trail. But part of me does sort of miss the old game when I play it.
Gotcha. You know what? I was sort of leaning your way, but I've played it. I've played it quite a number of times now, and I had at first my impression was that this is a game that this is an expansion that changes the game in some very significant ways, but for the most part makes it better because each one of the 3 main strategies becomes much more viable now. Whereas in the original game, the cowboy strategy was pretty much you kind of have to do that to some degree, and then the other 2 strategies you can pick and choose between. Now you can there are ways to play different things, but I thought that playing that upper board area that you were talking about became mandatory. And then there were a couple games that I played more recently where people won using that upper board very strategically, and they had probably fewer stations on that new expansion board area than all the other players, and still won the game because they had the right.
Oh, that's good.
They had the right ones there, and that really turned my thinking around. And now I'm firmly in the expansion camp. I don't think. Listen, I'll play the game any which way. It's a masterpiece, but I think that I always want to play it with the expansion now.
Yeah, no. I agree. I just need more plays of it. It's still in my top 10 favorite games of all time for sure.
Oh yeah. Number 4, Solenia. I'll be quick about this. I have never played Solenia. Still have never played Solenia. So I got nothing to say.
I sold Solenia. I enjoyed it for a few plays, but it ended up feeling very too simple for me. Not enough meat there. Not enough juice to squeeze. But it was fun for a few plays, and it was a good game to play with Jake and get a review on. And it was mainly, though, a way of getting a early taste of what one could expect from Black Angel, which we'll get to when we get to that.
Yes, indeed. Next up was our Underwater Cities / Avalon episode. Underwater Cities is a game that I played for a while, and then I stopped playing for a while, and then the expansion came out, and I'm back in love with it again. I really think that... Oh,
man. I love it so much for the expansion.
And I don't... It's weird, because I don't think the expansion did all that much, but for some reason, it's changed the experience for me, and it's taken a game that was almost great, but not quite, and made it something that's just so playable, so much fun, right?
I mean, it kind of gave me everything I wanted from if you were to combine Terraforming Mars and Agricola. And I know that's not a perfect analogy, but that's how it feels. I have this little world in front of me, but I'm also doing this awesome tableau building with cards. And I think Underwater Cities with the expansion could be an all-timer.
I think it's quickly becoming that. And of course, the other one in that bunch was Avalon. We took a month off from Avalon, maybe even a little bit longer than a month. You dropped off the podcast, Alfred moved away, and if the two of you who hate it so much aren't there, it becomes harder for us to play it because part of the joy of it is your pain. And then Paul moved away for a period of time too, and if there was one person that more than anybody was saying we have to play Avalon, it was always and always will be Paul. So when Paul came back for 2 weeks for a visit and to pop in for his segment, we played Avalon, I think 2 or 3 times in that week, and it was every single game of it was iconic and a complete and utter delight. Even the one that went on an hour and a half.
I'm so glad that you guys had that experience, but I'm more glad I wasn't there.
Fair enough. I hope this for you, Maddie. I hope that when we do get back to face-to-face gaming and whether you're at the gaming table, I hope very much that we pull out Avalon and that you have something even slightly akin to the experience I had, which was having not played it for so long, you can come back with a little bit of a fresh eye and actually enjoy yourself in the game. Because I think it's possible that you might eventually. We'll see. Next up, Chronicle.
I'll always just rather play a board game. That's all there is to
it. Next up, Chronicles of Crime. Speaking of sometimes playing a board game, what do you think? Where are you at?
I never need to play it again, and I didn't enjoy it all that much to begin with. It was okay. It's an interesting exercise, but it's just not why I play video games. I don't like sort of escape rooms or mysteries to be solved or purely narrative games. If I'm going to do that, I'd rather do it alone or I don't know. The other one that you reviewed, Detective, sounds more interesting, but also just sounds like a lot more work than I would ever want to do for that experience.
Detective is a lot more work. We'll talk to it when we get to that. I will say this for Chronicles of Crime. I thought that the implementation of the smartphone pad sort of thing to be able to look at a crime scene was innovative and really quite interesting. To me, the writing of that first case fell down in some ways and sort of led us the wrong way in some ways, and that was a problem. I do love the fact that they're coming out with 3 new editions of it, and they're set in different time periods. That's kind of fascinating to me. They're doing a Name of the Rose era 1400s one. They're doing one set in the far future, and they're doing one set around 1900 in the gas lamp Sherlock Holmes era. I'll give them huge points for this. If they can make those 3 different settings work, they might differentiate themselves enough. Like I would take another bite of that apple to check out what those things are. So good for them to do that. That's interesting.
Yeah, those themes sound cool.
Yeah. Next up, Terraforming Mars Colonies. We reviewed Terraforming Mars Colonies. I'm gonna start off and say it is my least favorite It is my least favorite of the expansions to Terraforming Mars. I don't like colonies. I don't really like Venus Next much either. The ones that start a mini game on a completely separate board, and that board is not tremendously related to what's happening on Mars, for me, splits the focus in a way that is less pleasurable to me. I don't really enjoy that. Prelude, I think, is currently the highest geek ranked expansion of any expansion on the Geek, and I think it's totally with merit. But Colonies for me was a dud.
I still like Colonies more than Venus Next. I've only played it once, but I enjoyed it more than you did, and I think it's one of those nice things that's there if you need it, but doesn't get in the way. Where I felt like Venus just sort of, you never need it. It didn't really do anything. It just sort of sat there.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Quacks of Quedlinburg. What do you got to say about that, Matty?
I sold Quacks. It was fun for a few times, but once again, sort of like Selenia, not enough juice for me to squeeze there. And the minute I played Taverns of Tiefenthal, I knew it had no reason to be in my collection. And we will get to Taverns later.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I thought it was like, oh, you know what? It's a fun light game. He reminds me of Friedman Friese a little bit. Like he makes these wacky games that have a lot of fun and a lot of play in them. They may not last forever, but they're kind of interesting. But yeah, I don't need to play it now that Taverns of Tiefenthal has come out. Next up, Escape Plan. What do we do about Escape Plan, Maddie? Where do we fall there? What happened? You
know what's weird is it almost feels like I won't, because I like keeping my collection pure, but I don't think I'll ever really want to play it again.
I'm kind of sort of there. Which, by the way, I half own that game.
No, I know you do. We split it, yeah.
Yeah, I stood on a street corner for an hour looking like a madman, walking up to everybody with a backpack saying, "Do you have my game?"
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad game. It's just It's just not what I'm looking for from that designer, I guess. I think that's more what it is than anything.
I would rather play one of his other games. That's all there is to it.
I guess that's kind of true. But in terms of a game that has grown on me, Teotihuacan. I liked Teotihuacan right out of the gate. I mean, how do you not? It's a good game. But I was wondering, is it going to be a game that I love long term? And when the expansion to it came out, I was like, oh, wow, this is great. It really showed that the game has a lot of legs and that the mechanisms within the game are malleable in a way that makes for a lot of replayability.
Yeah, and I just got a brand new Teotihuacan expansion that I haven't even opened yet. All it is it's new starting economy tiles,
yep.
The new starting income, the things you start with, and new tech tiles, which was the main thing that everybody was like, why isn't this in the first expansion? And well, because they put it in the second. But I think those tech tiles are almost like as game changing as new milestones could be in Food Chain Magnate. So to me, that this new expansion might even be more exciting than the last one, and it is just a handful of tiles.
Can't wait to check that out. Next up,
and the new texts look really interesting, and actually they look like they open up all the strategies that were once weak could now become as strong as the pyramid.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope that's true. I'm really, really looking forward to that. It reminds me a little bit of the expansion for Zolkin, which I really love. I think that expansion is great. The variable player powers I thought were really very interesting and really breathed a lot of fresh life into that game as well. Next up, Trickerion. Where are you at, Maddie, on Trickerion?
My favorite new to me game of last year. All I want to do is play it. I've only played the new expansion once, which is crazy, but I did get it after my daughter was born, so I don't play very many games these days. It's one of those games where if we had a weekly Trickerion night dedicated to Trickerion only, I would be so excited. It's one of those games that I just want to play all the time. I wish we had a meta. I wish we played it so much that we had, boring opening moves. I'm always obsessed with it. It's in my top 3 games of all time.
I agree 100% with every bit of that, with one caveat. And the one caveat is that Dalgard's Academy expansion may be overstuffed. It is a game that the base game of Trickerion has so much going on. So much, and it's so involved. There's so many things to think about. Then when you add in the first expansion with the powers that you can increase, that's a big add, and that's a lot of complexity on top of that. When you add on top of that the next little bit, by the time you get to Dalgard's Academy, it starts to feel like, I wonder whether or not that expansion is just throwing too many things into the broth. I don't know. I've only checked it out once, but my gut was I think it is an expansion that has a lot of great ideas, but the game doesn't need. So we'll have to see. But this was a revenge.
I definitely wouldn't ever want to teach it to somebody, and I would never want to play it with somebody who had never played the base game before. So but we'll see. We'll need to play it more.
Yeah, base Trickerion is plenty enough a teach for anybody. And then the second game, you add in one little bit, and it's going to be, you're going to have to play 3 or 4 games with the same people just to get to Dalgard's Academy. So maybe we need to have exactly what you're talking about, the once weekly Trickerion game to get that happening.
Yep.
Next up, Jesse talked about Settlers of Catan, or as it's known today, Catan. I am going to say something right now that I never thought I would say. It really is a great game. It really is.
Sure.
It's super. It's super basic. It's super expected, but I have seen a lot of the people that I turned over to Wingspan. I just would have conversations with them about why they loved Catan so much. And when I'm talking to a casual gamer, I'm not calling it tiddlywinks. I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm not saying anything bad about it. But the joy that they have from Catan is infectious, and it's real, and it's something that can be built upon. I think the big problem is that for many of those gamers, they never actually build upon it. Like somebody drops the ball and doesn't bring them further into the hobby because they're ready to get further into the hobby. And I'm really, really happy that Settlers of Catan is there. And I'm really happy that Lumen came on and talked with Jesse about the depth of the game and how, people that play tons of different games can get into this, what we think of as more of a gateway game and play it at a deeper level. I thought that was really cool.
Look, Settlers is fantastic. Catan is fantastic. I just wish that, it's really hard for me to find a good surface when I'm pushing down on the little top tiddlywink, and I want to get that right angle and sort of fire it up and have it land in the bowl of the other tiddlywinks. And it's really hard for me to do.
Is it just my set, or does the pink hippo not reach out as far? Just feel like
the pink hippo is hard mode and doesn't eat as many marbles as the rest. That's right.
Not okay. Moving on. Pipeline. Pipeline, I played with my brother and his wife and my wife, and I was shocked. They loved it. It was their favorite game of the weekend. They absolutely dug it. They got into it. They understood it. There is something about an economic game that maybe, because that's kind of Monopoly and Acquire and those sorts of games, you can get casuals can grok that stuff maybe easier than they can where you can score points this way or you can score points this way. Just knowing that it's money at the end of the game, and here's how you get money, and here, build this, how long is your orange pipeline? Oh, how long is your blue pipeline? They absolutely loved it. And I will say that I think it was my number 3 for last year. I think if I was doing it today, it's probably my number 2. I think it's an amazing game, and I think it's still in the 800s or 900s on BGG. I don't understand it. That game should be cracking the top 100 by now. It's amazing.
It is fantastic, and definitely at the top of my pile of games I wish I was playing more of.
Cool. The Estates. Talk to me about the Estates.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like I burned out a little bit on the estates. I still think it's fantastic, but it's really stressful and it's exhausting. It's a good game. It's a bad game to play at the beginning of the night because it will tire you out mentally and emotionally. But it's a good game to end the night on as long as you don't take it too seriously.
It is. I'm kind of in agreement with you. Like, I love it. I think it's amazing. But the pain of those first decisions is so high. Like, the game could go any which way, and yet the game is forcing you to commit to a strategy early on, and you're just exposing your neck. But if you don't go for one of those, then everyone is fighting over there's four people fighting over two scraps at the table, and it's just brutal in so many different ways. I absolutely love it, but at the same time, I haven't wanted to play it for a little while, so that's an interesting fact.
Yeah. Yep.
Next up, Twilight Struggle. Twilight Struggle. What more do we need to say? One of the greatest games of all time. Just amazing.
I'm excited for Imperial Struggle. Bring it on.
Very much so. And the short lunchtime version of Twilight Struggle that Ananda Gupta is coming out with as well. That looks really interesting.
Yeah.
The Red Sea one.
Totally. Yep. Absolutely.
PAX Pamir. PAX Pamir, which, by the way, is reprint. 2E, yes, correct. Reprint on Kickstarter right now. Grab it while you can. I didn't care for it, but you seem to like it a little bit, right?
It's my number one game of last year. I absolutely adore it. I want to play it all the time. It plays well at literally every player count. And not only that, it plays like a different game. The solo game plays different from the 2-player game, from the 3-player game, from the 4-player game, from the 5-player game. And I cannot decide which one I like better. I think it plays really fascinatingly at every player count, which is something I cannot say about any other game I've ever played.
Of the PAX series, the game that I most want to play again right now is still Porfiriana, which was the first one I ever played. Mm-hmm. And the first one of the bunch. Second one I want to play is Pamir. Third one is Transhumanity, just because you and I played it that once, and I'm kind of fascinated by the idea of it. Yep. And it's weird because Renaissance is the fourth game I want to play, and yet somehow I don't think I have a fourth in a series that I want to play as badly as I want to play Renaissance. So they're all neck and neck. They're all just amazing, amazing games. It's a really great system. Next up, here we go. Time to talk about Res Arcana. Maddie, how do you feel about it? Have you come around? Have you finally realized the truth of Res Arcana?
I have realized the truth that it is a fantastic game and that the expansion just makes it even better. I absolutely adore the expansion. I think it is so fun. It just added in so many new places of power, which to me are the way they've rebalanced the game for different numbers of players of power. So before, no matter what player count you played out, you'd play with the same amount of places of power and the same amount of monuments and stuff. But now they have come up with a rule that you could just play with the base game as well, which is just there's a set amount that come out for different player counts, which sort of makes it tighter or looser depending on it keeps it at the right level of tightness and tension no matter what player count you play at. I think it's in my top 20 games of all time. It is my favorite 1 hour long engine building game, and it scratches so many itches for me. I absolutely adore it.
It does make me itchy. I'll give you that. I have not played the expansion yet. When you talk about a game so highly, it makes me question why I don't respond to it at all. And I don't respond to it at all. I would like to play the expansion just because I want to get another bite of that apple. I want to see if I can find another way in to re-engage with the game that you obviously love and enjoy. So I'll reserve judgment on it until I get to play with the expansion in the hopes that I'll have a different experience. But thus far, have not loved it. Next,
cool.
Architects of the West Kingdom. I can say that when it first came out, I thought Architects of the West Kingdom was a good game. I did not think it was a great game. I did not love it. Having now played Paladins of the West Kingdom, I think Architects of the West Kingdom is a very good game. in what I didn't like about Paladins, I've actually come around to appreciate parts of Architects more. It's a very well designed, well balanced game. It's very good. I really like it.
Yeah, I like it more the more I play it, and I am really looking forward to playing with Artisans, the expansion, which I have, and clearly I've not gone to the table because we're all on lockdown. But I'm dying to try it, and excited to continue playing and exploring it.
Artisans looks really cool. And the other thing is that Elder played this game, I feel like 100 times. And
sure,
it's the same thing with Race Arcana. You were so high on the game that I'm just like, well, I guess I have to play it again because I don't quite get that out of it. But there must be something I'm missing. If the professor is playing this game like 100 times, then it's got to be better than what I think it is. Which I think it's very good. I just don't think it's amazing. So, check that out. Next up, Tokyo Metro. Tokyo Metro is my favorite kind of discovery from last year. Like most of the other games that we reviewed are games that were making the rounds. Tokyo Metro was one of the reviews that we did that not a lot of other people did that review. The Jordan Draper experience is a very niche, kind of hidden experience. Interesting that Tom Vassell this last year did his very first review of a Splotter ever. So maybe we are a little more niche than I think we are. But Tokyo Metro was definitely a very niche, very small market game that not a lot of people knew about, and I absolutely love it. We played it at my game night about a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago. And everybody had a blast playing it. It's a really fun take on a train game. That's significantly different than any other take on a train game. So,
yeah, I liked it. It didn't blow me away. I'm really enamored with Jordan and think his designs are incredible, and I'm excited to see everything that he does. If I'm going to play an iteration on a train game, I would just rather play. Oh, geez, why am I forgetting the name of it? The Chicago. You know what I'm talking about.
City of Big Shoulders?
City of Big Shoulders, thank you. Yeah, if I'm going to play a 18xx variant, I would prefer to play that. But that's probably because I enjoy the stock market side more than the operation side in train games.
Yeah, Tokyo Metro has a very interesting stock market that isn't a traditional stock market in any way, and yet still pushes a lot of the same buttons very interestingly. Next up, Black Angel. I have not played Black Angel since we reviewed it, and I feel pretty much exactly the same way I felt in the review, which was profound disappointment, and not in relation to the quality of the game, just disappointment in terms of the level of excitement I had walking into it, and just to not feel that excitement coming out of it.
Yeah, I sold it, which is crazy, as Twa is my favorite game of all time, and this is sort of the spiritual successor. Look, it's not a bad game by any stretch. It just isn't good enough to justify its existence in a world where I already own Twa and would rather play that.
On our 21st podcast, you and Paul did a trio of filler games, Air, Land, and Sea, QE, and Watergate. Where are you on those?
Air, Land, and Sea, I feel, is an incredible game. I've talked to a lot of people since then. It plays in 15 minutes. It's my favorite of the three of those games there. QE is a game I don't really necessarily feel I ever need to play a game. I might throw it on the chopping block. And Watergate, I think, is really fun and a good game for a two-player gamers game that plays in about 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, I'm pretty much there. Air, Land, and Sea, I would just love to burn every copy that exists because I've played that game against you probably 6 times now. I have never won a single game of that nonsense, that absolute, what is it? It's like war. It's just war. It's a really good game, and it annoys me how bad I am at it. Really, really, really That's awful. QE... Paul has poisoned us. QE is still a perfectly workable game, and you guys have fallen for his Jedi mind tricks. Give it up. It is still a perfectly playable game and a very good one at that. Just realize that it is very much high society. It is a different themed high society in which there is no actual money because you can bid whatever you want. High society is a better game. So that's why QE for me, I don't need to play it that much because High Society did it first and did it better. Reiner Knizia, small box games during the 1990s, he was untouchable, just absolutely amazing. And Watergate, I love. I would love to play it more because I do feel like it gives the Twilight Struggle experience in about a half hour to an hour, and that's an amazing thing. Speaking of City of Big Shoulders, our 22nd review was City of Big Shoulders. Where are you on this one, Matt?
I love City of Big Shoulders, and it's definitely, along with Pipeline, probably the two games from last year that I hope I get to play a lot more in the coming year.
I thought it was great when I played it. I haven't played it in a while. And when people say, should we play City of Big Shoulders, I'm kind of like, yeah, I can't quite put my finger on why I'm not dying to play it. Like, I wonder if it is a little bit too Arkwright and not quite 18xx enough. So, and that may just be my perception at the moment. Listen, if people decide they want to play that game, I will sit down with them and play it in a heartbeat. But I guess what I'm saying is I need to get it out again and see if my feelings have changed or if it's just that I haven't played it in a while. When I hear Ben Mandelker talk about how much he loves that game, and you talk about how much you love that game, it does sort of re-stoke the fire a little bit. So I'm looking forward to playing more of that. 23rd game.
Yeah, absolutely.
23rd game we reviewed was Barrage. I think we can skip this one.
Yeah, we love it. Everyone loves it. Who's played it that we know.
It's amazing.
Moving on.
It's amazing. 24, Tapestry. This was a you and me review, Matt. This was a you and me. This was we had some contentious reviews. You and I did Race Arcana. You and I did Tapestry. I don't like Tapestry. I don't think it's a good game. I think it was way overproduced. I think it was way overpriced, and I don't think it's a very good game experience. I don't think it's an affront to gaming. I just don't think it's very good. That's all I got to say about it.
Yeah, I totally get that. It's a game that I can't necessarily justify why I like it, but I have fun every time I play it. And I have not played yet since they sort of did a rebalancing of some of the overpowered or underpowered factions. I'm excited to try that. It's a game that the time flies when I'm playing it. I enjoy every decision, and I'm fully happy when I'm playing it. There aren't many people in our group that agree with me, but it might not get to the table that often, but it's a game that I'm excited to teach to people outside of our game group, and I enjoy it. I just enjoy playing it, and I indefensibly will say I just have fun when I'm playing it.
No, as much as I like to slam Jesse for his love of tiddlywinks, I don't slam anybody when they talk about loving Tapestry for exactly the same reason that you just said. Look, there are people that are fierce defenders of Tapestry and saying, I have so much fun playing it. What do you say to that? Really, what do you say to that? If you're enjoying it, that's a very successful game for you. Play it and play it a lot. I think that's a wonderful thing, and just keep at it. I wish that I had that joy, and I don't. Number 25.
I'm just gonna say before we continue, because we just crossed the halfway mark. Sure. I turn into a pumpkin when my son wakes up from his nap, and he is beginning to stir. We should probably try to fly through these a little faster.
Here we go. Lorenzo Il Magnifico, amazing.
Perfect 10.
Gaia Project, amazing.
Perfect 9.5.
No, perfect 10. Perfect 10. I would put Gaia Project above Lorenzo if I had to, but they're both 10s. 27, Concordia. Kind of perfect 10. Kind of perfect 10.
These are like three of the greatest games ever made in a row.
Right. We just had a roll there. And then came Paladins of the West Kingdom. I discovered in playing Paladins of the West Kingdom that I have become slightly allergic to multiplayer solitaire. I didn't realize how much I was becoming that, but I have, and I don't like it when I see it, when I feel it, when I realize that I'm playing the game and not playing the people. It's a real turnoff to me. And now that I'm sequestered and I'm only able to play with people without them being in front of me, I feel that very, very intensely. That I wish that I could look you in the eye. I wish could be sitting in front of you. A huge part of the gaming experience for me, the board gaming experience as opposed to video gaming, is the non-virtuality of it. And for me, there needs to be that give and take. And if the game doesn't give that to me, I feel a loss. But that's me.
Yeah, Paladins was in my top 10 for the last year, and it still would be. I actually like it the more I play it, and I will admit that I enjoy it as much playing it solo as I do playing with other people. I might enjoy playing it a little more with other people. I think it's a great 2-player game. I think it is a great solo game. I would happily play it with 3 or 4 players as well, but I fully agree that it is multiplayer solitaire. I have absolutely no problem with multiplayer solitaire.
Yeah, really? Solo mode? Yeah, sure. 29.
Yeah.
Dune.
10.
10. The only thing is that the artwork, that they took somebody's artwork. I'm glad they took his artwork because he's an amazing artist. Ilya did a great job doing a fan copy of the game. They basically took it, printed it, and shipped it out, gave him credit and gave him money. I think that's fantastic. I do wish that, looking at the Dune movie that's coming out later this year, we hope, that there was more representation in the artwork, and that and that Gale Force 9 had done just a little more spit and polish on the game. That said, one of the best games of all time, and they put out a copy that is so much better and, by the way, more accessible because you can buy it than anybody else. Number 30, Detective.
I agree.
Detective. Have you played Detective yet? You've never played Detective,
but
have you?
I also don't want to. It just doesn't interest me.
I kind of think if you were to LARP it with us, I think you might get into it. It's actually
Tom, I don't like LARPs. If I was to LARP it with you, you've already lost me. I don't want to LARP anything with anyone.
It's not true. In the light LARP sense that I'm talking about now, you LARP games all the time. You're constantly making up characters and this and that, the other thing, and you could really do that. I have a pair of mirrored sunglasses. I'll give it to you. You can whip them off whenever you have a revelation. It's wonderful.
Yeah. I'm just not interested in solving logic puzzles that are probably vague and require a little bit of luck to solve them. It's just not. It's much like Avalon. I would just rather play a board game.
Detective is not vague because they're based on actual cases, which is the interesting part. That's what, for me, that's a big part of what separates it. It's got a vermicelitude to it that a lot of the others lack because they're not just people trying to pen a good detective story. They're basing it on actual cases, which I thought was a real game changer. 31. Tristan.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's still full of lots of red herrings that sound quite logical, but that turn out not to be, just like what happened in real life, which to me is a little boring.
Do you mean when I sweated the recent widow of a dead cop for an hour immediately after the funeral service, only to find out that I had already gained all the information I needed from her? Yeah, it was a tough moment. It was a tough moment, but guess what? It impacted me. I felt really bad about it. Yeah. I felt bad for days about what I did in a game. It was amazing. 31, Trismegistus. I don't need to play Trismegistus anymore. It is gone. It is gone.
Yeah, I will probably sell it as well. If you didn't still have it, I probably would have sold it already. But yeah, there you go. It was worth giving a shot. Great designers. Not my favorite effort of theirs.
32, Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace will always have a super soft spot in my heart. If Pipeline has to go from number 3 to number 2, then Crystal Palace has gone from number 2 to number 3. But I think it's still an amazing game. The choosing whatever dice you want, but having to pay for it, and the brutality of the economy in that game reminds me of the heyday of Martin Wallace, when every monetary decision was fraught with ultimate peril. I absolutely love it.
I have still never played it, and I'm dying to play it.
Holy cow, dude! All right, we're just gonna have to get that on the tabletop simulator at some point and get
that would be great. I would love to do that. Let's do it soon.
You have to. I think that you would absolutely adore it. So we can't wait to see it.
I'm sure I would.
33 was Bus. What'd you think, Matt?
Never played it.
Oh no! Oh no!
Dying to play it.
Oh no! Yeah, well,
I know.
Listen, Bus is not in the A team of Splotter games. It is a smaller, quicker, lighter, super meaner puzzle game in which people are going around the table punching each other in the genitals. Basically, is what the experience of playing the game is. The first game we ever played, the winning score was 5, and we thought that was ludicrous. We have, and in most of the games we've played since then, no one has gotten to 5.
Yeah.
Absolutely brutal. 34 was Maracaibo. Maracaibo. I was the outlier on this one. I said I didn't like it that much. I did not love this game. I thought it had some interesting parts to it, but it didn't really come together, and I really did have a little bit of a problem with the theming of it. It felt kind of a little whitewashed, and because of that, maybe a little bland. And I haven't really changed my opinion on that. I've played it only a couple, maybe 2 or 3 more times since the review, so maybe that's not fair due. But I didn't love it.
I agree with you about the theming completely. I wish it was a different theme. I wish they hadn't gone with this theme at all. The mechanics of it, though, I really do adore. I enjoy the playing of the game. I enjoy the solo campaign of it a lot. And I've only played, I think, 1 or 2 games of it with other people, and I've probably played 5 or 6 solo. And I just really enjoy it. It's one of those games that the time flies when I'm playing it. And I really enjoy playing it. Wish it had a different theme. Wish there was a little less of a problematic theme. And, it had been like sci-fi or something, blah, blah, blah. But it was, I don't know. I really like it. I really think it fits in Alexander Pfister's canon of great, well-designed games.
Well-designed games with problematic themes.
Yeah.
Next up,
Totally.
35 was Marvel Champions. No, Marvel Champions? Is that what it's called? Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, Marvel Champions, the card game, right?
The card game, yes. You bought me this game. It was very, very kind of you to do. I played it with my son several times, and we enjoy it. I may say that the bloom is off the rose a little bit. Like, I don't absolutely crave it. I may have discovered something about myself that this kind of card game may not be something I love. The one game of this type that I truly adore was Netrunner, Android Netrunner. I absolutely love. But part of the reason I love that is the asymmetry of the 2 players really rang every bell for me. Whereas I don't know, for some reason this game, maybe it's the cooperative nature of the game, I just wasn't super thrilled with. I still like it very much.
To me, this is a solo game. I have no plans of ever playing with another person, nor would I really care to. This is one of my favorite solo games. I have a subscription with Team Covenant, so anytime a new character or villain comes out, it's just dropped on my doorstep for $15. I'm very happy about that. I got Thor last week. Excited to try it out soon. It's just to me, it's a solo game, and I think it's a fantastic solo game.
Good to know. I need to start playing it solo then. Next up, Taverns of Tiefenthal. What more do we need to say except that if you like Quacks of Quedlinburg, play Taverns, and you probably don't need to play Quacks anymore. Taverns is fun, quick, light, thematic. I don't know if it's got a ton of legs to it, but if you have the right group of people, there is nothing more fun than taking your horrible little tavern and slowly improving it and making it shine.
This is my favorite deck building game of all time. This is my go-to deck building game now, and I absolutely adore it.
Oh, how about that? Do you not agree that it might have it might get a little samey after a while? I mean, isn't there kind of a dominant strategy?
I haven't played enough yet to really feel there is. No, I haven't yet decided. Playing with all the modules, I feel like is the base game. I would never play with anything less than that.
Agreed.
And I feel like with all the modules, it's pretty balanced, although you are rushing around the reputation track. That to me seems to be something you can't ignore. Now, does that mean it's overpowered? I don't know, because everyone has the same opportunities to do it. But to me, that is the one thing that could get a little samey, is that it's about how fast you're ramping around that.
Interesting. Okay. Number 37, On Mars. I am mad at On Mars. I am mad because now that we finally have gotten most of us taught how to play it, I have other reviews to do, and I can't get it to the table as much as I want to. It is an amazing game that it has such a tough teach that every new person you bring in, you kind of have to make the game night about teaching that person the game and then playing that game. But amazing, just amazing. What else? What more can you say about it?
Yeah, definitely top of the pile of things that I want to play more when this is all over.
Definitely. 38, you did a solo review of PAX Transhumanity, which you and I played together. Where do you sit on PAX Transhumanity?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a beautiful package. I think it's an amazing theme, and the theme integration and the mechanics are also interesting. Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm excited. The Phil Eklund games I'm more interested in playing right now are I want to try BIOS Origins and that whole world of games. But I would happily play PAX anytime. I would happily play any PAX game anytime.
The ideas on any single card in PAX Transhumanity blow my mind. I mean, they are amazing and dangerous and crackpot in some cards. You never know what you're going to get with Phil Eklund. Reading the liner notes of a Phil Eklund game is the modern variation of listening to a Richard Pryor comedy album. They're hilarious and off the wall, and you never know what's going to come next. I don't agree with the man's politics, but boy, oh boy, he's kind of becoming this mad scientist of game design, and I really enjoy checking out what he's got. 39,
Totally.
39, Everdell. My big problem with Everdell is I no longer have it, and I can't play it.
Well, you can have it back anytime because I bought my own copy with all of the fixins, which should be delivered anytime soon. I know people are already getting theirs, so I'm excited to get mine with the 2 new expansions that should be coming in the box. So you get
Inspire Crest.
That and all of them, whatever the other one that starts with a B, Belfort or something like that. Not Belfort. That's a great game though.
Belfort makes it onto our 50th episode. That's fantastic.
But yeah, as soon as we can legally travel, you can have your Everdell back, and you infected me with a love of Everdell. So thank you for that.
It's so good. It's such a simple, elegant little game. It is so beautifully produced and really amazing. I love it. Have you played Pearlbrook with your wife?
Haven't yet. Still, but she's asking for it now, so she's ready for me to add it in. So we will get to that soon.
Love it. Number 40 was Blood on the Clocktower. I can say this. I could say that I'm not sure that I had a more fun game night this year than the night that we all got together here and we had 18 people playing Blood on the Clocktower. It was a singular experience. I have to thank Jesse very, very much for putting together all the legwork and staying in contact with the folks and making it happen. Truly loved it. It is the new Mafia. It is the new Werewolf. And I don't know when it's coming out or how that's going to happen, but it does take the Werewolf experience and add more to it. It is well thought out. So I loved it.
I've never played it, but do you want to know something crazy?
What?
I late backed it.
Did you really?
My own copy.
Did you really?
The podcast made me want it, and not to play with you guys, although I would happily play with you guys, but it's something that I would like to have and do on my own with non-gamers. I just think it'd be a great sort of party night.
All right, because you're going to have to listen to this episode, Matt, and listen to your comments about Avalon. And really try and get between the cognitive dissonance of backing Blood on the Clocktower and your comments about Avalon. Because
Avalon is if I'm going to do it, I'd rather make a night of it and have more of a game to it as opposed to sit there and just do the boiled down mathematical sort of statistician inside baseball version where it's just people arguing over nonsensical rules of how one's supposed to play. And I'd rather, at that point, I would rather just pretend I'm a werewolf with a silver bullet trying to, murder a wench or something.
Absolutely adorable. Number 41 was Food Chain Magnate, the Ketchup expansion. I love that Ben said that he played this game once and did so well at it that he felt like he never wanted to play again. Like you could never get it to that high. I got him to play again with the Ketchup expansion, and he just sent me an email to a lot of us saying, "Hey, who wants to play online Food Chain Magnate? Can't wait to play it again." The Kitchen expansion is amazing. The new milestones have taken a great game and made it all the better and made it completely new and fresh and replayable. And I love so many of the little modules in it. Now that I've played basically all of them, I adore it.
Haven't played it. Hate that I haven't played it. Super upset that I haven't played it. If you do play it online, please let me know.
Will do. Ora Labora was 42. Elder brought this back into our sphere. What can I say other than it is a classic from the Uwe Rosenberg golden era of game design. It is every bit as good as any of his other games. A real joy. And to his testament, lots of times after I do a review of a game, it's going to be a while before I can play that game again because there are so many games that I have to play in order to be able to review them well. I've played Ora and Labora at least 2 or 3 more times since that review because people keep requesting it. So it's just fantastic.
I'm excitedly waiting for my copy to be delivered. Who knows when at this point, but I'm dying to play it.
43, solo mode, Nemo's War. I have myself a copy of Nemo's War, and I got to check it out. Holy cow! Holy cow! Is this a great game?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Holy cow! I love. There's this weird thing about me that I love naval warfare. I love.
Same.
Right. There are solo games like Silent War where you're a sub commander. There's new ones that are playing the Wolf Pack during World War II. You're playing U-boats.
I have the Hunters delivered at my apartment.
Dude, I was just going to talk about. Back. I was literally going to talk about the Hunters. Holy cow!
I got the new edition of it delivered a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
the new one just came out. How about that? Yeah. Yes,
for solo mode, had to get it.
Dying to play that. Holy cow. And Nemo's War is kind of in that realm. It really felt like I was playing one of those games, which was amazing. How about that? Number 44, Oath. This was a departure for us in that we played a very early beta that may still have miles to go in terms of what they're thinking, what they're doing. I was really happy to play a Cole Worley game in its nascent stages and to see how his mind works. I really enjoyed playing it. I can't say anything about it because I don't know what the final product is going to be. But that episode,
there's a YouTube guy named Andy Mesa, Mesa. You can look him up, and he has been. He is on the inside playtesters. He's getting the most recent kits constantly. And I will say I've been watching some of his streams. The game is almost unrecognizably different now than it was when we played it. I mean, it is... I was led to believe, or at least maybe incorrectly, that we were playing a game that was 90% or so designed, but we were not. I mean, we were playing a game that compared to what I'm seeing in the new latest versions, up to a week ago, we were playing, a shadow of whatever the final version of the game is going to be. So I'm super excited to see where this ends up.
It could be that you were mistaken. It could be that they thought they were farther along than they were, and then they got a lot of people giving playtest feedback and started to realize, you know what, we have more work to do. And if so, fantastic. I'm so glad you guys are doing that. If you read between the lines of my review, or you don't even have to read between the lines, when I was talking about the game, I was saying I think that there are some significant things that need to be looked at and may need to be addressed and may need to be changed. I think there are things that don't work the way that Cole Worley is going to end up wanting them to work like. There are so many games that come out and need fixes and need sometimes very significant fixes. We literally talked just a minute ago about Tapestry, and very early on in the first few days of playing, people were like, "I don't see how these factions are balanced. I don't see how these factions are balanced." And the response was, "No, don't play it more. Play it more." And then they ended up saying, "No, you know what? The people have spoken." I think it's a good thing to expand your playtesting group to really start to figure these things out before the game comes out. It's just better. It's better for the hobby. It's better for the game, and I'm really glad that Cole is doing that. looking
Yeah,
for.
no, this and Anachrony are my most anticipated games of the year, if we even still get them this year.
Yeah, we will see. 45 was 1862. Here's the revelation that I've had about 1862. Almost every 18xx game is fairly static. They start, these companies are all going to start, and they start here, and they start here, and they start here. And people that know how to play them and play them well know that this company is best going to be run this way. This is not a company that you want to start at the beginning of the game. You start it later, and so on and so forth. 1862 is a departure because you don't know which company, in a very crowded board, 4 companies are not going to operate at all. They're not even going to appear. Some of them aren't going to appear in the first part of the game. Each company is going to have a different charter on it, and that charter is randomized. So the amount that the board is different, the board state, starting board state is different from game to game, is far different than any other 18xx title. And for me, that's, I think, why I keep saying that I believe that it is even though it's a difficult game, that it is a game for Euro gamers, because it does have a variability to it from game to game that is extraordinary. I absolutely love it.
I enjoyed my one play of it, and hope I get to play it again.
Done. Kalis 1303 was our 46th review. Now we're down to games that we only reviewed a month ago or less than a month ago. So not much to say here other than that I stand by my review. I think it's a really good game. It is a really good update of Kalis. It has taken a medium-heavy game and made a very good medium game out of it. Just me personally, probably still prefer the medium-heavy game, but I think a lot of people are going to want to play this, and they're going to get basically a very similar experience in a shorter playtime and in a slightly lighter game.
I played it once, and I hope I get to play it again.
Eclipse Second Dawn, next one. We had so much fun playing Eclipse. We had so much fun playing Eclipse. That was a truly wonderful night that we got. Maddie, I miss playing games with you. Let me just say that. I miss playing games with you in a huge way. And for us to have not played games together much for 4 or 5 months and now be slapped with this is just brutal. It's just brutal that we're going to have a more extended period of time where we don't get to play games together. So I will forever be a fan of Eclipse Second Dawn, if only for the memories that it made from that really fantastic night where 5 of us and you got together at your office to really have a throwback old school game night together, and it was really wonderful.
Agreed.
And last but not least, Railroad Evolution, which you also played with us at the con. I thought it was a really good recycling of a game that was almost great and broken.
I really like this game, and it's definitely high on my list of things I'm hoping to get to the table again very soon. I really, really enjoyed it. I think it's a wonderful medium-weight Euro.
Fantastic. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That was all of the games of last year. That's where we sit on it. I think a lot of our reviews have stayed pretty steady, but there's been some shifts. There's been some changes over the time, as will happen. Let's just say this. We thanked the people behind the scenes. We thanked our fellow podcasters. Let's just take this moment right now to thank you, the audience, our listeners. The amount of comments that you guys have made on Facebook, on our Discord channel, the amount of feedback that we've gotten, your energy, your enthusiasm, your willingness to come in and suggest things, to the Board Game Sommelier questions that we've gotten over the course of the year. You may not know this, but being a podcaster, I didn't know this. Maddie's the experienced one. I'm not. It could be in a little bit of a vacuum, and you don't know exactly how you're reaching people or what effect, or if any, this is having on people. And we've just had wonderful, tremendous feedback from people. Even negative feedback is tremendous feedback because it helps us to do better. And we just want to thank you for being with us, and we hope very much to be with you for the long run. And we just want to thank you so much.
Absolutely. We are, if we are one of your board game podcasts that you enjoy every week, I thank you so much for listening, and I hope that we continue to entertain you and give you informative reviews and board game information in the coming years, and that you will stick with us.
And I guess on the 1-year anniversary, we can say this is one of those few times of the year. We tend not to say this ever, but we will say, hey, rate, review us, tell your friends about us. We would love to continue to broaden our audience. We've had a lot of growth this year in terms of our listener base. We're really, really happy about that, and we just want to keep spreading the word. So if you have friends that you that you Skype with, that you game with, that you role play with, tell them to check us out. People are going to have a lot of time at home, and they might need a new podcast to listen to. We would love to be that for people that share our interests.
Yeah, that's well said. If you want to thank us at all for the podcast that we make for you, tweet about it, talk about it on Facebook, spread the word, tell your friends. The best thing you can do for us is just help us grow our listener base in any way that you can think of doing.
Absolutely.
Hey, if you enjoyed that video, you very well might enjoy the other videos you now see being suggested to you on screen. Also, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could like, share, or subscribe to our Game Brain channel. Thanks so much.